We'll start with John Murray again from BBC Five Live.
Hi, Gareth. It was a remarkable finale to the match, wasn't it? Perhaps an unremarkable match, but what was your overview?
Yeah, I mean, it's a very strange game, really. I thought for 20 minutes we were actually quite sharp. We were obviously always in control of possession of the game, and we had this challenge of breaking down packed defence. And in the first 20 minutes, we were definitely in the right areas, and we looked very threatening. I think as the half wore on, obviously the goal that's disallowed would have had a big bearing on the flow of everything. So that's a factor that we have to consider. But you could then start to see that little bit of lack of match sharpness and training sharpness in the attacking areas of the pitch, which is totally understandable in terms of the players, because that is the bit that comes last. So, and in actual fact, it's only when you get into the games that really is highlighted. So, that said, start of the second half, we're dominant again. I thought we were showing the right levels of patience. And of course, the red card has a huge bearing then on what's possible. First time we've had that since I've been a manager, and we've always stressed how difficult it is to win games from those positions. But we actually showed terrific character and on the field good organisation. We still wanted to keep a threat with the three forwards. And I think if we'd scored the late penalty and that had been the end of it, we'd have been talking about a performance of great character, and we got through. Of course, we then give a really poor penalty away, and it feels like we've got out of jail. So mixed emotions. Really pleased with the players that they got the win. Two big lessons to learn from, in particular, and the rest is kind of understandable given the point of the season that we're at, and what we've had to ask the players to do.
But you won't hide away from the fact, will you, that you just didn't create enough, did you?
Well, I think the players were in the areas we asked them to be, and I think we had, probably the most creative players in English football on the pitch. But I think everybody has to understand that the players, whether they've, had a 2-week break or they've had, they're into the pre-season period, that sharpness in the final third is going to be the most difficult bit to, is the last bit to come. And so in terms of creating against a really stubborn, packed defence, that is always a difficult challenge. It's a difficult challenge when everybody's sharp and fully fit. Once you add in the circumstance, I think, it is unfair to be. I'm sure people will be harsh on the players, but I won't be in that instance because I totally understand it.
And what did you make of the debutants? And I'll throw Ward-Prowse in there as well, starting for the first time. And why did you feel this was the moment, this was the right time for Phil Foden to start for England?
Yeah, I think with Phil, we know there's a super player there. And today was I thought he did very well. I think a really difficult game for him to come into. No space at all in the middle of the field. They're very compact, depth and width. So, he showed early on with some of the through passes and little touches what he's capable of. And again, I think just towards the second half started to tire a little bit, and we wanted to get another forward on just to try a different sort of threat. James did a really good job for the team. I think we had to move him around into 2 or 3 different positions, ask him to take responsibility, but he did that very well. And very pleased with both of them.
Thank you, John. Okay, guys, if you've got a question, start raising your virtual hand, and in the meantime, I'll go to Faye Carruthers from TalkSport.
Hi, Gareth. Congratulations. You said you got out of jail very much. Some positives to take, but on reflection, what do you take mostly out of this that you need to work on going forwards?
Well, I liked the character to respond to the setbacks that we had up until the 93rd minute. I think our approach to the game was right. I had seen in training a different level of sharpness, but actually it's only when you get into those match situations that the lack of playing time and the lack of training time for so many of the players, and it really has been minimal for a lot of them, inevitably starts to show. And when you're trying to break down a pack defence, that is a really key aspect to being able to do that. So the obvious lessons are the red card. You can't make challenges like that. I know Kyle has sort of spoken about it, and he's held his hand up in the dressing room. Makes life so difficult to win games down to 10. So to win with 10 is actually, I think, commendable for the attitude of the players when we ended up in that situation. And then to invite the pressure once we'd scored in the way that we did was another lesson we have to learn. We hadn't really been in trouble up to that point, bar the odd counter-attack and the odd set play. And it's a really basic penalty that we've given away. So that took a bit of gloss off the win, but it was an important win. We knew this would be a very tough game given all the circumstances that have surrounded it for both teams, and we have to move on now and assess who can go again on Tuesday.
Two parts following up from that. Firstly, on Kyle Walker, you talked a lot about how important experience was going to be. How disappointed are you that one of your experienced players that you've brought back put you in that position?
Well, Kyle has spoken, I think, very well about it already. He knows the situation. We all have to learn from that moment in the game, that incident in the game, because we've gone out of tournaments before because we've been down to 10 men. And that's not a situation that we've had in the 4 years I've been in charge. So the response to it from the rest of the team was good. But of course, it put us in a really difficult situation. And also we lose him now for the game on Tuesday as well.
It was a great penalty from Raheem Sterling. Just after that, you called over Joe Gomez to the touchline and seemed to give him some instructions. Then obviously he gave away the penalties a few seconds later. I just wondered what those instructions were that you'd given him.
Well, the instructions were what you'd expect of anybody in that moment, to be focused, him and Eric, not to get too deep. So, it's clear the nature of the penalty we conceded is clear to see. So there's no need for me to go into any detail on that. But I think that's something as a young centre back that he'll learn from those sorts of situations.
Thanks very much, Gareth.
Okay.
Thanks, Faye. Next we'll go to Simon Mullock from the Sunday Mirror.
Hi, Gareth. Given the difficulties of preparing the team for tonight, and the fact that it was a real grind, is it going to be a team of many changes for the game in Denmark now? Is it going to be impossible to pick most of those same players given the condition that they're at?
Yeah, we'll have to assess really carefully because there's lots of different factors in that. We're going to need energy for sure at this stage of the season. That's going to be as critical as anything. And then what's the best tactical approach to the game? So we are going to have to work our way through that. We knew that was going to be a huge challenge. That's part of the reason we thought the 5 subs would be in for this. I didn't quite understand that. They put them in for the under-21s last night. For us, the Nations League was the perfect opportunity to do it. And when it was voted through, I didn't think for the league it would be appropriate, but I felt for the Nations League, especially for every country, this September camp was going to be difficult on player fitness. So anyway, that isn't the case, so we're going to have to work our way through that.
Thanks,
Simon. Next we'll go to Dan King from the Sun on Sunday.
Hi, Gareth.
Hi, Dan.
I just wanted to ask you something that's been flagged up by people who've watched the replays. There's suggestions that perhaps James Ward-Prowse, just before the Iceland penalty, had had a cheeky scuff at the penalty spot. I was wondering if that was something you were aware of, but also in general whether that's something, that kind of gamesmanship is something you don't mind, or that you'd even encourage among players.
I haven't seen it, Dan, so I couldn't really comment.
But I remember when we talked earlier this year, you were talking about watching the World Cup final from '66 and how it was at 3-2, the whole crowd was shouting, get forward, get forward, get forward. And you said, we've never quite been cynical enough. Do you think overall maybe England teams, going back long into the past, have not been quite as good at some of the darker arts of the game that you need to cross that line from being nearly men to winners?
I think we have to be tactically and psychologically more aware when we're in a moment of the game that we're 1-0 up. We've just scored a penalty 90 plus minutes. I think that's where we've got to be more savvy. We shouldn't be in the position where the penalty is given, really.
Thanks, Dan. Next, we'll go to Rob Draper from the Mail on Sunday.
Yeah. Hi, Gareth. We didn't really have time to see how your changes would have panned out with Danny coming in, because obviously the sending off came so soon after. Were you thinking of changing the shape at that time, or would you stuck with something relatively similar?
No, we felt to get Danny's. There started to be some space down the side of their centre backs, and we felt Danny could exploit that space, and then Harry dropping a little bit deeper could give us that additional goal threat, because tactically, without the ball and in build-up, we weren't going to have an issue 2 against 2 in midfield. So we thought we could go with the extra striker. And then when we went to 10, we wanted to keep the 3 forwards on. We felt that we wanted that threat. We could again hold the 2 against 2 in midfield. And to have the speed of Danny, Raheem and Mason would hopefully give us that outlet if we were having to soak up any pressure. So, whenever you go down to 10, there was the chance maybe to go to 3 at the back, but we felt we were stable with the ball. Trent would hopefully give us that outlet as well. We could push the fullbacks on a bit further with the 2 midfield players holding. So it actually had worked okay. We knew once you're down to 10, first of all, let's not lose the game. But how can we keep probing to try and get that goal? And it looked as if we'd achieved it. Well, we did achieve it. I'm talking as if we've actually ended up with a draw, but we have won the game. So,
okay, guys, we're going to have to end it there. Thanks for joining us tonight, and see you soon.
Thanks, everybody.